Hey guys, got a feather blade that we used the other day. It has 46 uses on it. Did I forget to put a dot? Check the description if you're really interested whether it's 46 or 47 uses. It'll tell you in there in the write-up, and maybe even in the title of the video in parentheses after the blade. Feather, and it's getting to be an old guy. I've already put it inside the Timeless 95 stainless steel razor. And this is the Scalloped bar, as you can see right here. Let me show you the little mark that I put on this blade just so you guys know it's the same feather blade. I'm putting it in this 95 because it's a little more aggressive than the razors I've used. And now that we're getting into the 40s, I think the feather is asking for a little bit more aggression. And also this puts a pretty good bend on the blade. And my Sheraton is similar. And the Sheraton really took me to like 100 with my Nasset. Maybe it might work the same with the feather. We'll see. The soap we're going to use today is number 63 by Provence, a vegan French soap that I've been kind of trialing. I've got, maybe 12 shaves with it since I weighed it. And so I'm going to try to get to 15 or so before I'll compare the two weights. All right, the brush we're going to use today, I'm stepping back. I've experimented with different brushes and coming at it really wet usually because the Marco method is that way. I don't think this soap responds well to that. Next time I do a face lather, I just got a word from an online friend that said maybe start a little drier, because when I start going at my face with the loaded brush, you could just see the water coming down. And he said that's usually not what you're going to want to go for. You keep it hold back on the water a little bit so that it just doesn't start running down your face right away. And then he also said to the circles is kind of where it gets drippy and flings off. So do the painting motions as you start to build the lather. So I'm going to take that advice into consideration for sure next time. And so this is the premium grade Silvertip from Golden Nib, which I'm a big fan of, in a very simple handle that you can get online for like $8 or $6, depending on where you get it. Okay, so 24 hours since last shave. Let's throw some water on it. On my face. This is cold water and it's hard. I do plan on bringing the warm water up just to bring it up to room temperature. I've had this soaking for several minutes. The actual soap itself, I'm going to pour that out. Someday maybe I'll start using it to contribute to the lather. And so I'm just going to do my kind of normal method on it today, which it means I'm going to shake most of the water out of the brush. And this hard soap may appreciate not having a super slick brush to trying to pick it up. All right, so let's do a 45-second load just for grins, and let's just see what happens. I did a bowl lather with probably the Declaration Grooming B5, or maybe it's a boar brush. I can't remember recently. And 45 seconds was a little extra. Maybe that was a different soap. I'm sorry. I switch back and forth so many times that I get confused sometimes. Now this brush has kind of low backbone, and I kind of like that because it's soft and stuff. And so it is, splaying out. I'm not putting a lot of effort into it. Okay, I'm about to hit, and that's 45 seconds. So I'm kind of going to gather up the thickest of the bunch. We'll just see if a old Silvertip, instead of that nice new funkiness with the like the Declaration with a lot of density and backbone with those two-band badgers, that might. Oh, you know what? I think I used It was a tobacco lather. I'm sorry, a Mitchell's wool fat lather I did recently, I believe. And that was with the Shave Mac brush 2-band. All right, it was a good one too. Okay, so we've got our Roger Quintero lather bowl, 3D printable. You can find information on getting those files if you want to print your own in the description of the video. So this is just kind of a standard. If I were to bring this soap into my den and not know very much about it at all, this is kind of what I would do if I had kind of the older, super soft, type of badger brush. Comfortable, but still able to generate a nice lather. The only issue is sometimes you may want to load for longer. Since it's a soft brush, it's definitely not going to pick up as much lather as, say, a scritchy boar brush. I don't really have too many scritchy boar brushes. So that's 2 teaspoons of water in the lather. I'm glad I went 45 seconds. It's not immediately coming to life, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't really think it's going to, it is. I mean, it's starting to build up a little bit. I think I might want a little bit more of those. So what I'm going to do, kind of pull off some of the lather from the brush. Let's add some more water and then bring back this guy for another 15 seconds. And that will, we started at 20, so we'll go to 35. And that'll mean a full 60 seconds of loading, a nice round number to remember. There we go. And I may have overkill by the time this is done. I may have too much lather, but I don't think I'm going to have a lot of overkill here. I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough. This soap has proven to be nice and slick and practical. Not super creamy, not a dense creamy. And so some of the kind of soap snobs that like some of the elite stuff, might definitely kind of frown at this particular soap. But it's inexpensive, and I think it's going to be a soap that lasts a long time. Gives you a lot of shaves for the money. Oh, and the scent is terrific. Yeah, there we go. We're starting to see the kind of the quantities that I kind of expecting. So we'll keep, and this is a vegan soap, and often vegans don't have that tallow to really help them be creamy. And so I find that I usually have to run them a little drier than usual to have kind of that luxury slick feel. It can really thin out quite a bit if you add too much water. Razor skips across your face, and it's not quite as nice as when you keep it a little drier. Yeah, this is looking great. Probably could have gotten along okay with that first bit, but I'm glad I went for more soap. And because I added water from the syringe, I'm still able to count the water that I've added to give you a good ratio, just in case you want to duplicate this recipe. It may not give you exactly the same type of lather, but it should come reasonably close. It all depends on your brush and your water hardness and different things like that. Well, I think we're good. I don't think we want to go any thinner than that. And if you want to change up your lather a little bit, maybe improve it, one thing you can just try, it's very easy to do, spend an extra minute just working in the bowl, stirring it around. Can help make sure that the lather that's inside your brush is the same consistency and viscosity as the lather outside in the bowl. Yeah, this looks nice. The scent is awesome. Spicy, kind of warm. Most soaps, I don't see those peaks. And these, look at these textures at the top of the brush. Most of the time soaps I use do not look like that. It's just a landmark you can look at, but like I said, I keep this a little, I like to run this just a little drier than usual. Okay, let's get my face wet again before we start putting the lather on. Sometimes you start to put the lather on and you realize how you should have added a little bit more water, because it spreads out and kind of dries up a little bit. That's going to be something you get used to as you work with a certain soap. Get used to how it feels and when to stop adding water. When you are working it on your face, and it looks like maybe it's a little too dry, keep going for just a little while and just make sure it's distributed or evenly and that sort of thing. It may dense up just a little bit on you, a little bit more than what you're seeing with just a little bit of time. Very soft. Definitely could be perceived as a floppy brush. It's low on backbone, but it's high on softness and comfort. Spend a little time on that first pass so that the lather kind of soaks into your skin just a little bit, so that, I mean, it's not going to do it a lot, I don't think, but it feels like it needs to kind of anchor into your skin. I've used the word bond before, to so that it can protect your skin, so it can kind of lay down a protective barrier. All right, the 95 with a feather. I believe it's 48th use now. Yeah, it's much better than with the, tried it with a vintage Gillette New Improved. And I think it kept the trajectory of the blade a little too flat. Now, this is a tuggy shave, but it's not as bad. It's almost predictably tuggy. So we'll keep shopping around and see if we can find a blade that, a razor that will work with this blade. And maybe we won't. Maybe this, for me, maybe the feather isn't destined to go as far as my Nasset that I've had out there for a little while. All right. And rinse, a little half rinse. And let's load that brush up. It is not looking like I'm going to end up with an overabundance of lather. You might have been able to see that part of that first lather kind of died a little bit. And so I went back into the bowl to get more lather, and it just turned out just fine. I have oily skin. That could have dissipated the lather some. There could have been maybe some water in the brush that came out, maybe even water in my goatee that kind of washed out the lather a little bit. Sometimes that happens. There we go. Now, should be a much more comfortable shave now that we've removed a good bit of the stubble. Even if the pass was tuggy, the second one is a little nicer, and it is. Holding the razor loosely. Feels very comfortable now. And this is a Weber Bulldog handle, actually. It's not a timeless handle, but it's got a nice weight that offsets this heavy head pretty well, for me at least. And rinse. All right. Comfy pass. The tugginess of the first pass is pretty much gone, so that's a memory. Brush, super comfy. It's the opposite of those Declaration type brushes, the Maggard, SHD. Those are 2 bands, and this is a 3 band, so it just is not supposed to have a lot of backbone to the bristle shaft. And then the tips are really soft. And these were the top Badger brushes for a long time. This type of 3 band. Read a forum post the other day that I think it was maybe 2010 or 11, and this pass is even smoother. 2010 or 11, where the gel tip type brushes had to kind of reach their peak, where people were clamoring for those. I'm getting nice glide, nice slickness here. So it's still a sharp blade. It's giving me a good cut. I think this lather is pretty dead on. If I leave some water on my face, it wettens, makes the lather a little bit more wet, kind of customizes it. It could make it too wet if you're not careful. But if I put it on a somewhat dry face, it's fine, so you can kind of fine tune it, but I think I hit it pretty well with the right ratio of water. And yep, I got a nice shave. Nice close shave. And then what I do is disassemble the razor, put it over on a washcloth I have over there. Let the pieces kind of dry while I put stuff away. I tap the blade on the washcloth. I don't wipe or move it or anything like that, just to get the moisture off, and that's all I do after a shave. So we did refill this, and so we're looking at about 3 1/3 teaspoons of water for a minute of loading with a soft Badger brush, soft 3 band, not a big knot either. It's either a 22 or a 24, and we got a nice lather, and we got enough to do 3 and a touch-up, and there's still plenty. If I wanted to do 4 passes, I could have easily. Now another thing, we can just take a little critical look at the lather left over in the brush. Is this better than what we were using on our face? creamier? Is it nicer? Then we should have mixed, you know, to try to get this onto my face. No, this is pretty much the same lather I was enjoying. And it's a nice practical lather. You're not going to feel super creamy with it. The slickness there is present, but it's not a buttery type of slickness. It's more of a watery type. I've found that with vegan soaps quite a bit. And that's all right, you know. They got to do what they got to do to make it work. And there are some vegan soaps that are better than others. I really like Dr. John's. Soap Commander's good. Henri and Victoria have a nice vegan base too. Katie's Bubbles is good. All right. So yeah, I definitely could have done actually 5 passes if I include the lather that I extracted from the knot. So I'm glad that I went that extra 15 seconds to make it a full minute load, as it turns out. And let's see what we have for post shave. I got this Nivea Deep Conditioning post shave lotion. Now they call it a lotion. It's just a splash. It's definitely not a lotion. I think it might have a few skin goodies in it. It's got a decent scent. The Provence has a better scent to me, but this is decent. It's got a little bit of floral and sweetness to it. Maybe a little bit of greenery, but it's not feminine. It's a nice masculine scent. I like it. Not very much stinging, and that's something you can enjoy with a older, smoother blade. It just doesn't scrape you up as much. It's still plenty sharp to give you a good close shave, but it's not gonna jag it out your skin and cause those alcohol splashes to really let you know that they're there and that you kind of roughed up your skin a little bit. And here's what this nice brush looks like stropped on the towel after a good shakeout. Nice, comfy. You can tell the color of the tips. It's not all bleached out. It's most likely, almost certainly not a treated brush. They didn't treat the tips because they're already very soft. And I might even need to put another O-ring to kind of bring the loft, shorten the loft a little bit, bring the hairs in just a touch, but maybe not. Maybe I just like it where it is. If I was going on a long trip, I knew I'd be gone for 15 or 20 years and I could only pack one brush, it would be a Silvertip, kind of like that. Because the treated tips that have hooked, those are going to break eventually because of the treatment that they received, and so that one's untreated, so it's going to take decades. You know, it's probably going to last just fine. But that's quite a hypothetical stretch of a scenario. Most people enjoy those gel tip brushes if you like them, because if you put them in a rotation, then let's say it might last 6 or 7 years. Then in a rotation of 4 brushes, you've got 28 years of brushes. And so that's a long, nice time to enjoy that. I think that aftershave might have a touch of vanilla or amber or something like that in it. Tonka bean, you know, something like that. Pretty nice. All right, well, there we go. That's the shave. It was comfortable. I don't feel any of that irritation at all in that first pass, the tugginess. I just have a really nice, very happy with the shave quality, and especially on my neck here. A little bit more of a shadow than sometimes I have, but I don't really see any length on any tips, and that's pretty remarkable. So the feather is still doing its thing. I will look around and see what other, oh, you know what, we could try an adjustable with a higher setting. Fat Boy, you know, something like that. We'd also try a Carve Christopher Bradley razor with a higher gap. The one nice thing, one of the nice things about the Timeless razor is that look at the bottom. Look at the bottom support. It comes almost as far as the top cap does. And so you get a nice, firm, controlled shave instead of something chattery coming across your skin, making some sounds. Some people like those sounds, and that's okay, but I want a smooth, controlled shave. I think it's going to irritate my skin less if it doesn't vibrate across my skin like that. All right, well, good one. I just wanted to kind of do a normal shave with the PDP. I'd been experimenting with some different face lathering techniques and bowl lathering, and I just kind of kept running out of lather, running out of soap and that sort of thing. And when I had something with super soft tips that was really wet, it just took forever to gather up soap and pull up soap from the puck into the brush. So I think the secret with this one is load a little on the my normal side, my drier side, not try to go with some wet brush. And I think that will serve you best, whether you're a face lather or a bowl latherer. So there we go. Hey, thanks for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I sure hope there's been something in this one that has helped you out. You take care, and good night.